President Trump is gone, but he left one final present for the Chinese Communist Party. That and more on this week's China News Headlines. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. The Trump administration is over, but before leaving office, they took one final, very big swipe at the Chinese Communist Party.
Now the United States leveling perhaps the most serious charge a country can face, accusing China in the last hour and a bit of committing genocide and crimes against humanity in its repression of Uyghur Muslims.
It comes from this memo by outgoing Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. In the memo, Pompeo called out the Chinese Communist Party as a Marxist-Leninist regime that exerts power over the long-suffering Chinese people through brainwashing and brute force. Pompeo ended the memo by saying, "We will not remain silent. If the Chinese Communist Party is allowed to commit genocide and crimes against humanity against its own people, imagine what it will be emboldened to do to the free world in the not-so-distant future." Yeah, this is why the Chinese Communist Party really hates Pompeo. But Pompeo's formal determination of genocide in Xinjiang should be welcome news to the incoming Biden administration. After all, the Biden campaign had also called it genocide. So it's nice to know that Trump and Biden agree on something. I wonder if something about China was in that note Trump left for Biden. Who am I kidding? He probably wrote that he farted in all the chairs. Of course, saying China is committing genocide is just one of the many reasons the CCP is saying good riddance to Trump. Literally. Here's a tweet from state-run Xinhua news agency. They later deleted that tweet for some reason. But they didn't delete their commentary that called Trump's actions against the Chinese Communist Party his final madness. According to my favorite Chinese state-run media, the Global Times, China is now sanctioning 28 Americans, including Pompeo. These individuals and their immediate family members are prohibited from entering the mainland, Hong Kong, and Macau of China. Join the club, guys. Who is joining the club? In addition to Pompeo, the Chinese regime banned many other Trump administration officials that had shaped Trump's China policy, like Trade Advisor Peter Navarro, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, Deputy National Security Advisor Matt Pottinger, and Assistant Secretary of State David Stilwell. Former Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar was also on the list, presumably for visiting Taiwan, which China claims as a province of China. So according to the Chinese regime, Azar is being banned from China for visiting China. The list also included former Trump officials like John Bolton and Steve Bannon. I'm sure they're all really broken up about it. And on top of that, China's foreign ministry called Pompeo a doomsday clown. Welcome to Clown World. Pompeo seems to have pulled together his shattered self-esteem, though. He's calling on the Biden administration to continue the work of standing up to the CCP.
This challenge, the threat from the Chinese Communist Party, is real. It is existential to the United States. We have to get this right. And I am counting on the next administration continuing our work, continuing to build out on the things that we have done in the exact way that the American people will demand.
Outgoing Vice President Mike Pence had a similar message. I urge the incoming administration to stay the course, do what we've done, stand up to Chinese aggression and trade abuses, stand strong for a free and open Indo-Pacific, and put America and our freedom-loving allies first. And there is reason to hope that the Biden administration will largely carry on a tough-on-China policy. Biden's nominee for Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, basically agrees with the Trump administration's tougher-on-China approach. At a hearing before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Blinken said, "President Trump was right in taking a tougher approach to China. I disagree very much with the way he went about it in a number of areas, but the basic principle was the right one." So with any luck, standing up to the Chinese communist regime will continue to be a bipartisan issue. What is this feeling? Is it hope? That must be what Jack Ma is feeling because he's still alive after a mysterious absence. More on that after the break. Welcome back. Chinese billionaire Jack Ma is alive. This week, he made his first appearance since October. Ma had criticized Chinese regulators, and then he mysteriously disappeared. But this week, he showed up at an online event celebrating rural teachers in his hometown. According to Chinese media, he said, "My colleagues and I have been studying and thinking, and we have become more determined to devote ourselves to education and public welfare." Yes, sometimes we all need to take a few months off for re-education. No word yet on how the antitrust investigation into his company, Alibaba, is going. I guess China never really beat the coronavirus, because now even more Chinese cities are going into lockdown as a new wave of the virus spreads. Even part of Beijing is being barricaded. And that puts some Chinese citizens in insane predicaments. As the virus spreads, freight drivers are trapped in their vehicles and not allowed to refuel, eat, go to stores, or stay in a hotel. These drivers have to live on bread and instant noodles, and they might be better off. Food is getting very difficult to get for some Chinese citizens. This notice from a city in Hebei province says that all supermarkets, grocery stores, and shops must close. Residents aren't allowed to leave their homes. Reports from state-run media say food prices are skyrocketing. The Chinese Communist Party is taking action, though, by releasing a state-produced documentary called Days and Nights in Wuhan. It's about how well the government did in the early days of the outbreak. It's actually a scientific experiment. Will people feel full if you feed them lies? Now, did you know YouTube has been soft censoring China Uncensored by demonetizing our videos, quietly unsubscribing people, and not notifying people when we release new videos? So join us in the fight in what I call the China Uncensored 50-cent army. They're viewers like you who contribute as little as $1 an episode on the crowdfunding website Patreon. That's patreon.com/China Uncensored. As a thank you to them, I answer their questions on the show. And today's question comes from 50-cent army member Fang Lin. Is there a MeWe page for China Uncensored I can follow? Me and my friends are all abandoning ship on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as they are pretty much all for censorship, so we don't use them anymore. Well, currently I'm just on the major platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I haven't looked into social media alternatives too much. I got a Parler account just a week before the whole thing came crashing down. But I've heard about other platforms like MeWe, Gab, Minds, or SafeChat. But to be honest, we're already stretched pretty thin producing episodes for you guys on all 3 of our shows. So I don't have time to keep up with lots of different social media platforms. And I don't know what the next big one will be. So maybe all of you watching could let me know what platforms you think are good. Because it might be good to have some alternatives in place. Thanks for your question and your support, Fang Ling. And thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.